It's not even controversial anymore.
People know in Florida their freedoms are going to be respected.
Miranda. Hey, yo. We were debating whether I could say konnichiwa or whether I would get in trouble for that. And you pointed out that I've said hola before, so both would be offensive to some people, although we don't necessarily care so much. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Interesting to see Ron DeSantis absolutely crap the bed.
Yeah, he's not doing so well. I mean, I could have kind of predicted this, the way he was kind of just hanging on to some kind of annoying topics that I think people want him to talk about what he's successful doing and the things that he has done in Florida that have made him successful. But I just don't think he led with the right foot. So he's not doing so great in this whole campaign situation.
Yeah, and as we've said before, he can't try to beat Trump. Trump is Trump, and Trump is still in the race, at least for the time being. And so he should have found another avenue to carve out for himself. So not a surprise to see him tanking in the polls. And typically in presidential races, when you see someone really, take a dive, it's hard to resuscitate that. And there's some other people who are seemingly coming up, in that place, Tim Scott, Vivek Ramaswamy. So we'll see what happens. But there's this interesting article in the Miami New Times. I think it's being a little disingenuous, but it has to do with Florida students who are going to return to public schools in the fall. And they will be met with new rules, a bunch of new rules. But one of them regulates the ability for teachers and staff to use a quote unquote nickname for a kid at school.
Correct. It basically will try to use something easy. Like if my name is Tammy and I want to be called Tam, or if my name's Catherine and I want to be called Kate or Katie in school, I have to get my parents' permission to sign off on a form that allows teachers and and people within the school district to call me by my nickname. I'm not sure what to make of that.
Well, I think that's also just the way that this article frames it is disingenuous. It's like, oh, you have to, just like you said, it's like, oh, Kate or Catherine. The rule is designed to guard against kids who go to school and they want to be identified as a completely different gender and a completely different name. I mean, that's really what it's about, right? It's about parents signing off on so your kid doesn't go to school and be called Timmy when their name is Tammy at home. And so
okay.
I think the way that the article frames it makes it seem like this vicious, unnecessary government overreach if you just want to be called Kate and your name's Catherine. But I think everyone knows what it was really about.
It's true. And honestly, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where the rules apply to everybody. So it probably it's going to come down to those simple kind of nicknames. And most parents are probably going to be completely okay with just signing off a quick form that amongst the dozens of other forms that come with having kids in schools, just to allow your kid to be called the name they prefer to be called. And if they don't agree, then they don't agree. And the kids are going to have to deal with that with their parents and at home as a family and not at school.
Yeah, I love this. I think this is absolutely harmless. I think it's weird where, when in Washington State, for instance, you can have a kid and policy allows for this. We've talked about it many times, they're the gender they were born at home, the name they were given at birth at home, and then you send them to school and the teachers and the students and everyone keeps the secret that the kid is identifying as a different gender and they're calling them a whole different name and they're living like two different lives. That's weird. It's a weird thing to do to a child and a parental relationship. Super odd.
Yeah.
So we could sit here and talk about DeSantis news forever, but I don't know. I don't know that he's as interesting to me anymore, although we'll see what happens. But I did want to talk about it's kind of funny, but it's actually a little precedent setting, as I know you're going to discuss. There is an inmate in Florida prisons who has fought for an interesting right.
Yeah, he's been for years fighting for his right to grow a beard. Based on some of the principles of his religion, he should have a fist-length beard is what the length he is aiming for. And the grooming rules are different in every state, but in Florida, you either have to have a clean shaven face or you can have a half-inch beard that you maintain. And that's it. Those are the rules. There's no reason beyond that to get him. But they're actually in an appeals court. They're starting to hear this guy's case out. And there's a very good chance that he's going to be allowed to grow his beard out for religious reasons, which could actually change the way a lot of prisons across the country decide to do things, because I think inmates have to fight for a lot of basic human rights and religious rights. And even criminals deserve to have a little bit of what would you call it? Just like, I guess, respect for a certain extent. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think your right to practice religion should be stripped from you because you're incarcerated. I mean, I think there are some things within reason, but I don't see a problem with if they can articulate from a perspective about, what their religion entails. I mean, the challenge is always how might that be abused, right? How might that be abused in a setting like a prison? Like, will somebody grow, I'm just giving a crazy example, like a 10-foot beard, then use it to hang someone? Like, I'm just being ridiculous, but I think you always, like, within reason, they're like, this is my religion. Like, I need a beard that's as long as a rope, Yeah. But I think it's an interesting concept. And again, I think freedom of religion, I don't think that you give that up because you're incarcerated, although this individual sounds like they're going to be there for quite some time. But I think it's an interesting debate that, as you said, is going to have nationwide implications. So good stuff, Miranda.
Yes. Don't thank me. Thank the state of Florida.
Are you sad to no longer be the only Kruse sibling with bangs?
I am, and you cut yours shorter, and mine are now growing out. Even though I did get a little nibble on them from my bunnies the other day, so they're keeping up the work.
Yeah, I'm struggling daily with trying to figure out what to do with the bangs because they just get in my face, and so I'll have to talk to you later and get some bang tips.
I feel you. I don't think there's a woman out there who's gone through a bang phase that didn't struggle with the bangs for a little bit. And then finally they kind of they make things fun. Like we talked about, ponytails are way more fun when you have some good bangs to accessorize them with.
They look way better. Only the most important conversations on the Undivided podcast in Florida Report. Miranda, thank you.
Bye.
It's not even controversial anymore.
People know in Florida their freedoms are going to be respected.